Well, Mr. Bass, Real Water Sports is partnered with sustainablesurf.com/giveaway to give away a dream vacation for 4 days on the Outer Banks.
Well, it is a dream vacation, right? A 3 night stay at the Waterman's Retreat, where you and I, David, stayed. And and I know you enjoyed it too, as well as your wife. What a fun time. Great food, I mean, the amenities, the things to do there are through the roof. So I secretly hope that I win this giveaway here. You got to donate some money to Sustainable Surf, which is a great cause, and potentially win a 3 night stay at the Waterman's Retreat in North Carolina.
Potentially sleep in the same bed as Scott Bass.
Oh my God. That's horrible. That is horrible. I'm
They,
out.
they could charge extra for that.
No,
Sheets
no.
haven't been washed.
Oh my God. We're
Look, for 10
Dude, step
bucks,
away from the coffee. Okay. You're sounding like me. You're going Richter.
it's the drinkag1.com/surf, which Scott is guzzling. Look, 10 bucks gets you 10 entries. 100 bucks gets you 200 entries. And there's a lot of chances to win. It's not just that one big prize package, which also includes a wetsuit and a day with Brett Barley. They also have surfboard bags. They have coffee table books, towels, other opportunities to win. So you can easily get your $10 entry fee back, and it all goes to a great cause, which protects your playground, by the way. So go to sustainablesurf.com/giveaway to participate and to support. And then, of course, our good friends at waterwaystravel.com are sending us, you and I, and 18 listeners to El Salvador, but they will send anyone, anywhere, at any time. They have locations around the world. So no matter what's going on in the swell season, there's waves somewhere.
Yeah, look, sorry. I was just pulling up where the waves are right now as you spoke, because I'm like, oh, let's see what we got here. And frankly, it looks like England.
I like the
Yeah,
sound of that.
Ireland. There's a big storm up there right now. And look, the obvious one is Hawaii. Hawaii's having a great late season. There's another west swell on the way, a big one. And so any of the Hawaiian island chains is ideal. And if you wanted to sneak away, there's some sort of real sneaky east southeast swells that will hit actually where we're going up into the El Salvador, Costa Rica, that region in Central America, Nicaragua. That area is going to get those sneaky little, which I love. They're not the straight southwest ones that come underneath New Zealand. These ones kind of sneak up South America, pop off of South America. They're kind of off of everyone's radar because they're too steep for Southern California. And those ones are ideal for Central America.
Yeah. Well, look, play this segment. Call Real Water Sports, play this segment with Scott talking, and be like, this is what it was recommended that I do. And then they will get you dialed in exactly where to go, what to expect. And for whatever level of luxury you want, I mean, they have, charter yachts and they also have really kind of backpacking it style accommodations as well. And for every level of surf prowess as well, they'll put you in easy surf if you're just a beginner, and they'll put you in pumping, barreling surf if you're ready for that. So go to waterwaystravel.com and travel intelligently.
As we see some movement at the takeoff zone, it's Kelly Slater grabbing rail.
Yeah, a guy. Yeah, guy. Yeah, guy, David. It is, let's see, it's the 21st of March in the year 2024. And this is Spit. This is the Spit podcast. David Lee Scales, Scott Bass talking on all things surf with you here on a weekly basis. And good day to you, David.
Good day to you, Scott. The year is rushing past us. We're about a week and a half, 2 weeks away, I guess, from our El Salvador trip, 2 full weeks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Excited. I'm excited.
So,
Yeah.
we didn't exactly fully develop the concept for the Everyman challenge or the dude, where's my board video concept. But yesterday, Devin Howard called me
Yeah.
and he's like, hey, do you have an extra spot in your board bag? I'm like, in fact, I do. He goes, I would like to contribute a community board via Channel Islands. What are your
Oh.
what are your thoughts on this, a community board? And I'm like, you know what? We had a similar concept that we were developing to kind of do everybody rather than the stab in the dark where one surfer rides 10 boards. What if we just have one board that 18 or 20 surfers ride and try to get kind of a general consensus on that board? Because it's actually more replicable or applicable for the viewer of that experiment to figure out how a board works for a lot of people than it would be for how a pro rides 20 boards. So he goes, here's the deal. We'll give you three options and you can let your guests vote on those three options for the one board that they want to pick. And so I've got those three boards. Today, I'm going to send out an email to all of our guests that are coming to El Salvador with us, and they're going to vote and pick a board.
Oh, well, this is insane. So you did send me a text on this morning. I thought I was going to pick the three options. So I went through the process this morning. So tell me, what are the three options for us and our guests?
I'm
More
curious.
importantly, our guests to use.
So, in all reality, though, I'm not that jealous. Do you like a spa day?
A spa day?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I'm
Really?
totally down. I'm down with a pedicure.
Wow.
I am
Okay.
down with a massage. I'm down with spending time with my wife afterwards, maybe in the jacuzzi or, relaxing. I like the whole, my wife's got me so tuned into the whole, like, like cucumber water and just the whole, I just follow my wife's lead. She knows how to do it. She's a pro.
Yeah, this is the side of you I was unaware of, but
Dude, I'm
I,
wearing my cashmere. Are you kidding me?
of
Look at this.
course, yeah, I guess I'm learning it about you, but I thought I was into massages for a good decade, but what
Yeah.
I've determined is I spend an hour there and it feels great for the hour, but I
Yeah.
don't really have a lasting relaxation benefit from it. Where if I do an hour of yoga, I feel great for 3 days, or 2 days or something like that. So
Yeah.
I always think it's a great idea to get a massage. And then literally 60 minutes is great. Minute number 62, I'm like, I wish I was still laying on that table. Like I still need more massages. You know what I mean? That's how I
Yeah.
feel.
It's definitely, it's an elective, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Where I
yeah.
don't think yoga's not an elective. Yoga is mandatory
But then there's lasting benefit from it too,
for
which is
sure.
the key for me. Anyways, back to surfboards. I'm curious to hear which three boards you landed on. Here's the conversation with Devin was basically we have a spreadsheet with all our guests that are coming and they put on that spreadsheet the boards that they're bringing. So we kind of looked at that to figure out like are these longboarders, are these mid-length riders? And the reality is there's a lot of shortboard riders and a lot of alternative shortboard riders, but almost everything is kind of under 7 feet. So we used that as a reference. And then also we're going to need to get a size board that is a little bit universal that most people on this trip can ride. So what in CI's kind of stock inventory do we have access to that we can get this week? So
Right.
those were a little bit of the matrix that we were following, but I'm
Mhm.
curious which three boards you would have chosen.
So the boards that I would have chosen, not knowing that they've already been selected, were the Dumpster Diver 2, mainly
Okay.
because that's the one that Devin's pimping. Devin called me the other day. We chatted, or he sent me a text about the Dumpster Diver 2. And I actually went and looked at it, and I like the idea of what they've got going on there. So the Dumpster Diver 2 was one of them. And then this one's sort of out of left field, but I was looking at the High Five model.
Mm,
Have you seen that?
no.
It's kind of just like a wider alternative, fishy looking thing. That the reason I think I liked it is that it has tons of concave, like it has single, and I think it has double through the tail, and then even another little bit of single through the tail. And I love all of that concave for tons of lift and speed. And then the next one, by the way, that High Five's a swallowtail, and I'm pretty sure
Okay.
it's a three fin. And so I, for my sizing, for you and I, our sizing would have been like a 5'9" by 29 and a quarter by 2 5/8. So it would have been about 33 liters.
Perfect.
And then the 6'1" or the CI mid twin fin, which I've wanted to ride. I don't have it. I think you might have one of those.
No, the mid pin
Yeah, it's a
or
twin, a mid
twin
twin.
pin. Mid.
Yeah, it's basically their mid, but it's a twin fin instead of a three fin, a two plus
Okay.
one. So it's a
Okay.
twin fin mid length, which I ride all the time here at home anyway, made by Ryan Sakel. But so I thought I've been wanting to ride the Channel Islands mid twin, the one you see Mikey February ripping on in a lot of videos.
Yeah.
So those are the three: the High Five, the CI mid twin, and the Dumpster Diver 2. And I sort of lean towards the Dumpster Diver 2 because I sense that that's what Devin kind of wants us to choose, because that's the
Okay.
one that's the kind of board du jour for
Okay.
Channel Islands right now.
Well, let me take that feedback and check inventory, and maybe we can use one of those instead of the three that we came up with.
Oh, you're
You
kidding. You didn't come up with any of those three?
No, I
Oh,
thought there
that's
would be overlap. We've got the G skate, the free scrubber, and the Bobby quad.
G skate, which is their little twin. No, the G skate is like their lost round nose fish, basically, right?
But two plus, yeah, kind of two plus one. Um, or I guess one plus two, the two big twins in the little trailer. And then
Yeah.
the free scrubber is obviously the Tom Curran wingtail,
Yeah.
tail with a twin. And then the Bobby quad is the short quad, which I've never ridden anything like that at all. So
All of those sound good. The first two, the middle one, I'm not super intrigued by, but I mean, all I got to do is look at it and I'll be like, oh,
the
I'll
free
turn into
scrubber,
yeah, that's the one where, I mean, and it's only because the other two sound really good. Like
okay.
the Bobby quad sounds rippable, and the G skate is totally fascinating to me, mostly because I'm a huge fan of the lost round nose fish. And I think it's kind of similar. And I don't mean to say that they copied the lost round nose fish, because I know they didn't, but that's what it reminds me of. And so
So
the
let's
G skate, the Channel Islands G skate, and the Bobby Martinez quad.
Yeah, so let's swap out the free scrubber if we can and go with one of your picks if they have the
The
inventory on it.
dumpster diver too.
Okay, dumpster diver too. Done. Okay, send out the email today. Listeners who are coming on this trip, prepare to vote for that. But I'm excited. I think this will be a cool little experiment to do, and it'll just be a community board. It'll be available for all to grab.
What size?
Uh,
Here's the
that
problem, right? Because there's some big guys. I was looking actually today on that Google Drive list that the whoever put that out. Thank you for putting that out. And there's a couple big boys on that trip.
By the way, I put it out, and somebody added a column
Yeah,
for favorite Scott isms,
I saw that.
which I thought was really solid.
Yeah.
Uh, Hell to the yes is one of the options. Let us begin is another one that somebody wrote as one of their favorites. Surfing with dignity, somebody put as one of their favorites. And somebody else said, a good old yeah guy with baby goat inflection and Travis Sham mockery, which is a deep cut.
A baby goat inflection. This guy's been listening to Alex Hemingway. Alex, you're the man. That's like, that would be like, yeah, guy. Yeah, guy.
He knows. He's been
Oh, that's
listening for a
funny.
while.
That's
All right.
fun.
Well,
Well,
awesome.
look, I mean, I'm looking here. It's mostly guy people. There's one person that's 6'5", 220, and everyone else is, and then there's another one who didn't put his size, but he said he's a big guy. And so I don't know.
I think we'll find a universal size. It'll be fine.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be fun. It'll be fun.
Well, cool. Hey, I'm sure you've got things that you want to talk about. I've got Gary Linden I was going to ask you about because a listener actually referenced him. A listener called in and left us a message, and he references Gary Linden. So I thought that might be a good opportunity to discuss what you
Yeah.
and he discussed on the boardroom show.
Yeah, I've got, I think Slater news is out there. I've got basically Slater news and and maybe a little bit of where we're at in the rankings for the WSL.
Let's discuss Gary Linden first, but let's play this listener call real quick.
Hey guys, so my quiver is nowhere near, I'm sure, what yours is, David, or even probably Scott Bass's for that matter. But here's what I did a couple years ago. Picked up a brand new Linden surfboard from Gary in Oceanside. I had a couple of older Lindens with me, ones that I'd had forever. I was going to take them to Play It Again Sports in Oceanside and just, pawn them off for 50, 60 bucks, whatever I could get for them. And as I got out of the water and finished surfing on my new board, I saw a surf camp with a bunch of kids. It happened to be summer, and all these kids were at surf camp. And, they were all on the foam boards. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to stoke these kids' day. I was parked on the north side of the pier. I went to my car, I pulled out these 2 older Lindens, had, FCS fins in them already. And I just walked up to the kids and I said, "Hey, how you liking the surfing?" And they were, "Oh, it's really a lot of fun." I said, "Well, I'm going to help you guys out." And I gave 2 kids 2 boards. I mean, yeah, granted, they weren't beat to death, but they were still surfable. And there was leashes, there was traction pad on them. I mean, these kids were set up and they were stoked. And that went a lot farther with myself than getting $60 for each board. So anyways, always something to think about. Pass the Stoke on. Keep up the work, and we'll talk to you guys later.
We've talked over the years about just like, man, selling surfboards sucks. You always wish that you would have kept them down the road, and then also you don't get very much money for them. You get a fraction of what you paid for them. So that's a perfect solution.
Yeah, what a great little story there. And nice little anecdote. And it just made me think that what he said at the end there, passing on the Stoke, I think is what he said. And I think that's sort of a universal ism, if you will, universal thing to do if it's a surfboard, or if it's your attitude in the water, or if it's just returning the grocery cart to the place where it belongs. It's like an everyday thing. Like it's a great universal sort of ideal to live up to, passing the Stoke, whether you're in the water or just in your daily life, like I say, at the grocery store or whatever. And so I love that. And that's something to certainly to meditate on, to sort of have your morning moment with, passing on the Stoke, and good for him, and you're right. You know what? You can't get a whole lot for used boards these days. There's plenty of boards in the marketplace. So giving stuff to kids is pretty much a no-brainer. So good on him. And what was his name, by the way? I don't know if we have his name, but thank you for reminding us, to pass on the Stoke.
I love the solution because the board, if it's either sitting in my garage, not being surfed forever, or me getting $60 for it and play it against sports, I would rather it sat in my garage forever. But if it means a kid who's just getting into surfing has their first surfboard that they can rely on, versus me wishing that I still had that board 5 years down the road because I want to ride it, I'd rather the kid had it and had been riding it for that entire time. You know what I mean? Like, I'm willing to sacrifice something, and I'm okay sacrificing my own experience with that board as long as it's being used. And so I think that was the perfect solution for what to do with old surfboards.
Yeah. And I had another experience. I was actually going through some boards. I'm like, okay, I'm going to sell these boards. I'm not riding these boards. I'm going to sell them. And I ended up grabbing a board, and I was like, actually this board looks kind of cool. Like, now you pull it out and you look at it and you're like, wait a minute. And I actually took the board and went surfing on it and loved it. I was like, I'm not selling this board. And now it's back in the friggin' storage thing. And, I wanted to get rid of it, but I'm actually thinking I might bring it to El Salvador.
Wow. What board is it?
It's a Firewire, believe it or not. It's a Rob Machado Fish. And it's a board I just never really gave it a lot. I think I rode it a couple of times, and, it was a couple winters ago, and then the waves got big, and I just didn't ever ride it again. I just kind of put it away and forgot about it. And I brought it out the other day, and man, I had so much fun on it. And I was like, God, this board would be good for El Salvador, I bet.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, what about Lyndon? How was your conversation with Lyndon on the Boardroom podcast?
I found it fascinating. I don't know how anyone else is going to like it, but I just love talking to Gary Lyndon. He's just got great stories, great anecdotes. He's full of vigor and insight and information. And he's making me a board. Gary's making me a board. In fact, this might be a good time to tell the listeners that we have a category for best in show. So the best in show at the Boardroom this year, any surfboard shaper in the world is invited to compete in this board build off. We want you to build a beautiful surfboard, but most importantly, a functional board. It has to be functional. Function before beauty here. But you can, of course, do both. You can build an incredibly functional surfboard and then make it really nice. And so best in show, the category is the Twinser. Ba-dum, drum roll, please. The Twinser. That's all you got to do. Build a Twinser, sort of in the sort of I guess to pay homage, or in the vein of Will Jobson's Twinser, which is what basically the fin design. And a real Will Jobson Twinser's got some little channel mojo off the tail and some stuff like that too. You might look into that, but that's it. Twinser, David. What do you think of our best in show board build off category? Open to any board builder in the world. All you got to do is show up with your board on Friday, the day before the show begins, with a vertical surfboard stand, and you're entered to win cash and prizes. And of course, the winner also gets a booth at the following year's boardroom show.
I love the idea of shining a light on the Twinser. Is there any way you can get a hold of Will Jobson, and can he come judge this?
There might be a way. I don't know.
Who's going to be the judges?
That's a great question. I'm not sure yet.
Well, I'm curious to know, because what defines a Twinser? First of all, it's not, is it just the fin orientation?
This is a great question. And I'm going to suggest to you for this contest, yes. Basically what we're looking for is that sort of little canard fin in front of the twin fin. And that basically defines a Twinser, because there's Twinser guns, there's Twinser longboards, there's Twinser fishes, there's Twinser contemporary high performance shortboards. So, I think probably if you asked Will, he'd say, look, this is what it has to be, or whatever. Yeah. But I'm always hesitant to confine the best in show a little bit. In fact, the guys from Sustainable Surf reached out to me and they're like, hey, we want to promote, we want to sponsor Best in Show. And of course I'm like, yeah, I need a sponsor. I want to do that, but I didn't want to limit it to just that the boards were going to be judged on how sustainable they are. I want boards to be judged on how good they surf.
Yeah.
And as much as I'm a big fan of sustainable surfboards, and in fact, my Gary Linden board is going to be made of agave, and it's going to be a Twinser that he's going to enter into the thing.
Perfect.
Into the Best in Show. So I'm all about sustainable surfboards and helping the planet, but I didn't want to limit, I want to keep it broad, which is why when you say what exactly defines a Twinser, I don't want to put any cloak on it. I'd rather it be open and let the builder help us define what the best Twinser is. Now, we all know that the Twinser design, of course, means that, and again, I'm not going to put any parameters on it. You know what? That's the category Twinser. You decide what it looks like. And I think, and Stu doesn't know this yet, but as you mention all this, I think I might have Stu Kenson be one of the judges. And maybe I'll get some other people. I usually get some others to help with it too. So, I don't know. I got to figure that out. You got 7 months to build this thing. And that means I have 7 months to figure out who the judges are going to be. But,
have you seen the versions that Derek Disney's doing?
No, I bet they're insane though.
Yeah. I think he calls them either midzers or pinzers or something like that. But, it's a Twinser fin setup, but he's incorporating the flex tail into them as well. They're really interesting surfboards.
Yeah.
Totally different. Yeah.
And I love that. I love the idea of taking what the category is and then to sort of expanding on it, and that's what the board build off's all about. It's about function first and foremost, and innovation, and then the prettiness and the flash of the color, that's secondary to what we're looking for here. But again, it's always easy to just make a really functional, unique, innovative surfboard pretty. So we urge you to do that as well.
Well, good to give people 7 months notice on that one. And then also, as it relates to Gary Linden, I was glad to see your conversation with him, just because I'm always curious to hear what he's up to and what he's doing, because he's such a wealth of knowledge. He's fully involved still to this day. What is he, 70 years old now?
Close 74.
To it? Crazy, right? And still surfing as actively as he's shaping. And I don't know how is he still surfing, chasing big surf?
Yeah, he was down at Todos Santos this winter surfing. I'm not sure how involved. I think he might be, I don't know. We'd have to ask him exactly, but I know that he was surfing during that big wave contest they had down there.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
Just like the example of just objects in motion stay in motion, basically. And he's never slowed down. Um,
Yeah.
we've talked about Tony Roberts in recent shows on his YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Um, he did a video a year ago, maybe a little bit more than a year ago, with Gary. Gary was in the Caribbean. There was some big swell, and Gary chased it down there and was riding a gun and got one of the big waves at, 73, I guess, at that time. And Tony got it on film, and then Gary came into the parking lot and Tony got a Q&A with him. And it was just so cool to watch, like this guy still doing it and then digesting the session. And if I remember, he was talking about basically how difficult it was just to get that one wave. And he actually got completely cleaned up by a set. Tony actually got the footage. I think it was a drone that was tracking him. So you get to see Gary just getting like, you know, completely annihilated at age 73 and then get back on the horse, get back out there and get the one wave. And it was just a cool little, 8-minute documentary of Gary's session, but and a great check-in with somebody doing what he's doing.
That's great. Yeah, that's
So.
cool. Yeah, Gary is a special human. He's a super sweet guy and very, like you said, he's very informative. And he's got, I like him because he's got conviction. He's got a lot of convicted opinions, that are based in decades of experience. So it's a lot of fun to chat with him.
Yeah, just humble, quietly doing his thing.
Yeah.
Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform that is designed for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. Whether you're just starting out or managing a growing brand, Squarespace makes it easy to create a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything from products to content to subscriptions. They have flexible templates with designs for every category, templates that are simple to drag and drop your artwork or logos into, but flexible enough to redesign to your specs. They have online store templates that make it easy to sell physical merchandise, digital or service products like podcast subscriptions and paywalled content. They even make customizable merch. You can design products and they will handle the production, inventory, and the shipping and handling. So let Squarespace handle it for you. They'll save you time, they'll save you money. And will save you money by going to squarespace.com/surf. You get a free trial and you get 10% off your first purchase. Squarespace.com/surf. Enjoy. Well, on to surf news, I suppose.
Yeah. So look, I think the big news is Kelly Slater. I don't know. Do you think this is the lead story, even though we're 40 minutes into the show?
It's yeah, I'd say it is. Look, it's absolutely a story for sure.
Yeah.
What's
So Kelly Slater and his partner, Kalani Miller, are having a baby. They announced, Slater dropped a sweet little video showing the baby bump and making the announcement on Instagram. So wonderfully hopeful thing to do, to have a child. And so congratulations to Kelly and his partner Kalani. This is great, exciting, fun stuff, and a new chapter for him. And
when
hats off to him. Tip of the cap.
when we were doing predictions at the beginning of the year, or maybe the end of last year, did you ever think we'd be covering a news story where John Florence and Chloe Andino have children that are older than Kelly Slater's child?
No, I didn't. But you know, each I don't know, the cycles of life are different for everybody, and it's time for them.
So will we be doing a news story in 18 years from now where John Florence's child and Kelly Slater's child are battling it out at Pipeline?
I doubt it. I doubt it. And I'll tell you why, because I don't think either of those two are sort of they don't strike me as like little league dads. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of times the children do the opposite of what their parents are into. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. It'd be fun. It'd be, whatever, however the child wants to do it. I just hope we're still doing the show in 18 years. That's quite an ask.
We're 10 years in. So that would be 28 years deep. Does podcasting still exist in 18 years?
That's a good question. Who knows? I mean,
Good thing we're on YouTube now. Go
Yeah.
subscribe to our YouTube. So the other kind of story here as it relates to surfing is, does this signal Kelly's official retirement?
No, I sense that, and you and I have talked about this. I think Kelly's retirement is just one of these soft retirements. He's just slow. Like, I mean, he just bailed on Portugal. He's more or less kind of doing what we thought he would do during a retirement, which is just surfing the events he wants to surf in. And frankly, he's got carte blanche, as far as I'm concerned, to pick and choose anyone he wants to surf in until such time as he's not capable to win those events. And he's absolutely capable. I mean, the surfing he did in Australia just last week was mind blowing. Incredible surfing. He looks at the top of his game. And so I'm all about Kelly, and I'm all about more Kelly surfing. I love watching him surf. It's inspiring to me, being an older guy surfing still. Same with, like, I recently saw some Instagram with Brad Gerlach. And I was like, yeah, Brad's inspiring me. It's fun to see guys that are my age or a little older still getting it on and trying to, just enjoying the ocean. That's the most important thing. So I'm psyched for Kelly enjoying the ocean.
Well, congratulations to Kelly and Kalani. Kelly, and I mean, they've been together over a decade. Kelly is 51 years old, having a second child, but 51 is the new 41. And for Kelly, it's the new 31 compared to all of us other human beings.
Yeah.
And so he and Kalani have been traveling the world for over a decade together, and they actually travel with a dog for the most part. So if they can travel the world and maintain the lifestyle that they're doing now and incorporate a baby into it, it might be the ultimate life design that you ever could have thought of, living basically a jet set lifestyle, surfing the best waves on the planet and bringing your family with you. I think that's the way to do it.
Yeah, I agree. Good for them. We wish them all the best. By the way, I ran into another story about Kelly. He just recently wrote a children's book. Did you know this?
No.
Yeah. So he collaborated with a second grade class in Maryland. They got on a Zoom and they basically kind of talked about ideas. And then I think somebody else probably wrote it. I don't know, but they created a children's book called Keep Our Beaches Clean. What if everyone did that? And so, like I said, Kelly has a children's book out as well.
Wow. Okay. Well, I didn't see that one coming. His ever expanding portfolio of projects never ceases to amaze. Speaking of keeping beaches clean, I was talking about that organization in El Salvador, Guardians of K59, that cleans up the beach down there. They sent our t-shirts. So I've got your t-shirt in this bag.
Oh, very cool.
I'll bring it to you next time I see you.
Well, speaking of children's books, I don't know if you know this, because your young son is in the perfect little age for my children's book.
I didn't know you had a children's book.
Oh yeah. I've got a children's book. It's called Girl versus Wave. And it's the story of Ruby, a young girl who, with the help of her father, conquers her fear of surfing.
I was waiting for a punchline. Is this a real thing?
You want me to go get it? Hold on. I'm going to go get it. I'll show you.
Go for it. Factormeals.com/surf50. Let me tell you, Factor Meals has filled a specific gap in our lives that has simplified our busy schedules and satisfied and nourished us. If you follow me on social media, you know that I love to cook. My wife and I love food and wine, but there are still at least 5 meals a week where we're just underprepared, short on time, and don't want to make a bad dietary decision, nor sacrifice the pleasure that we get out of dining. Factor has solved it. Chef-prepared meals that are delivered to your house weekly. They take 2 minutes to heat up, and they're designed to be eaten anywhere. There's no prep, no cooking, and you can recycle the package that it comes in. Delicious meals that are good for you with over 35 options to choose from each week. Go to factormeals.com/surf50. Less expensive than dining out, more delicious, more nutritious. Factormeals.com/surf50. Wow.
There you
Nope.
go.
Wow. You as well are many talented. I had no idea.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool book. I'll show you. There's
When did you,
some good art.
when was this published?
Oh, like 15 years ago.
Okay. When your daughter was young?
I mean, both my kids were probably young, excuse me. Not sure what year it was.
The main character looks like me, by the way.
That's the dad. Let's see. He does have your kind of hairdo, huh? Look at him.
Kind of does. Is he a regular footer?
I think he
Yeah.
is.
Yep, that is me. Oh no, he's goofy.
No,
Unless I'm
it's backwards because of the
yeah.
he actually is a regular.
That's
No,
funny.
he's goofy.
So my I don't know if you know this, but my brother illustrates books and he's done a number of children's books.
Oh, well, this was done by the Savannah College of Arts or something. They're pretty famous
Yeah.
graphics design school. And they reached
Scat.
out and said, yeah, that's who did this one.
Very cool. Or SCAD, I guess it is, not SCAD. Very different. Very cool, man.
That's Ruby right there.
Girl versus Wave. Is that available on Amazon or somewhere?
I don't know. I bet it's not. I bet I don't know. We'd have to Google it and find out if you can still get it. I'd be surprised.
You have a box of copies in your garage that you're
I think my
offload?
wife has saved. I know I have 2 copies left.
Oh, okay. Well then go to the highest bidder. Those will be very expensive. Well, yeah, awesome. I have a perfect segue phone call from a listener that'll help us segue from Kelly into Stephanie Gilmore's sponsorship change, if you would like.
Yes,
to hear
please.
that.
Yeah.
All right, let me play it for you.
Hey, this is for the Spit podcast and Kelly Slater fan club. Had a thought after this Hawaiian run for old man Kelly. Given today's current climate in the surf world, would Kelly even have a main sponsor if it wasn't his own company right now? I had to really think hard about this. People have no sponsors on tour, and then the ones that are sponsored are hanging on. So where would Kelly fall in today's, current surf industry climate had he not made his own company to sponsor himself? In other sports, we have legends like these coaches, Bill Belichick, Pat, Carroll, I think his name is, of the Seahawks. They're Super Bowl winning champs. They can't even get a job, So just something interesting I thought of, oh yeah, Kelly, sponsored by Kelly to be on tour at 50-something. Anyways, just food for thought. Cheers, boys.
Belichick's going to be at Starbucks next week looking for work.
That's an interesting thought. I mean, I don't know how you feel about it. I sense that, first of all, Firewire Surfboards is doing pretty well, and Kelly owns that. So without Outerknown, Kelly would for sure get some sponsorship dollars from his surfboard company. But I'm sure that he would be with somebody like Tenori, or Patagonia, or he would have his pick. He's the 11-time world champion. He transcends the sport. He hangs out with, Beckham and Beck. You know what I mean?
Well, the caller, the point is, yeah, he'd have his pick at that company's salary cap. You know what I mean? He's worth $4 million a year, but nobody can afford to pay him $4 million a year at this point. And he's not going to take 800,000 because he deserves more, and it'll devalue his brand. And so I think the listener taps into something that is actually a conversation we are no longer having. It used to be a very valid conversation 5 to 10 years ago when people swapped sponsors. But I saw this Stephanie Gilmore news. Stephanie is obviously, she retired from tour this year, and she's now leaving her longtime sponsor of Quicksilver and going back to Rip Curl. And they advertised her as being on the search. Now that she's retired, she's going on the search. And so it's perfect branding for Rip Curl. But I saw the story and I'm just like, you know what? Honestly, who cares? First of all. And secondly, does swapping sponsors so regularly almost negate the value of that entire relationship? When we can't even remember if is she sponsored by Quicksilver or is it Rip Curl? I kind of forget it. I need to look it up actually. What's most currently on her nose of her surfboard when I pull up her Instagram? Then it really undermines the value of what each is getting out of the exchange. And so I feel like, would Kelly have a sponsor if it wasn't for his own brand? To your point, it doesn't really matter. He's getting a pay. He has a bunch of companies that he owns. He's getting tons of revenue off of various projects. Does he need a sticker on his surfboard? Certainly doesn't need it to validate who he is as an athlete or a surfer. And does he need the paycheck from that sticker? Only if it's worth the $4 million that he would have gotten for it 10 years ago. And the reality is it isn't anymore. So,
Yeah, I think you nailed it really with the concept of he's worth X and nobody can pay him X. And why devalue your brand if you can't get what you're absolutely worth? Now, some would say, look, you're only worth what somebody's going to pay you. So,
which is what there, by the way, there's tons of people who will pay you. They're just not going to pay you a yearly salary on an 8-year contract for a sticker on your board. It's Stephanie Gilmore going to Instagram this week and doing an ad for Woolsworth,
yeah.
or whatever that company is in Australia, the grocery store brand.
The other thing that you bring up, which is interesting, is that, yeah, you kind of do kind of forget who they ride for, like
Totally.
and I don't know, it's not that we forgot about Stephanie Gilmore. It's just that the whole thing's so sort of homogenized. And I say the whole thing, I mean like sponsorships and surfers and you think of Griff, like, didn't Griff ride for Billabong? No, he's with Quicksilver. And
Mhm.
like, what's the difference?
What is the
And
difference?
and I think it's more than anything, it speaks to the watering down of the surf clothing industry that nobody cares. And it all started when Quicksilver went public back in the 80s. That was the slow trickle of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And now, I nobody really cares. Like when I saw that news, by the way, and it was like Stab was kind of blowing it up as the news of the week. Steph Gilmore does this. And sure, from a business standpoint, I think it is surf industry business news. But I don't think anybody in the parking lot gives a crap about who anybody really rides for.
Yeah.
I don't, unless maybe kids do. I'm sure if you're 18, you're like, oh, but
Yeah.
I don't think anyone cares,
Which
yeah.
is why it was such a prescient move for John and Kelly to create their own brands where they have an actual stake clearly and ride it for 20 years, ride the dividends for 20 plus years and then sell the company down the road or something like that.
I
Because
think, John did it better. Tell me your
yeah,
thoughts
for
on
sure.
this. Having your name attached to your brand, I think is a much better move. I think if it was Slater, whatever, KS Clothes or whatever,
Slater
something,
Designs.
yeah, Slater Designs, like his surfboards. I think that's just such a smarter move because it's just like brand identity is just so obvious, right? And you just have a Slater on your board, and oh yeah, you can get Slater clothes wherever.
Yeah, I remember questioning it when John did it,
Me
when he
too.
launched the brand. Maybe we even talked about it on air
Yeah,
because there is a risk associated with that too.
there is.
Um, because if you're I guess the risk is for any of the investors or anybody working for that brand, tying yourself so closely to one athlete. If that athlete really
Scandal.
shits the bed, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, scandal's
Then
the problem.
it can be toxic for the entire brand. But John is such a mild mannered human being. I don't think he will ever get wrapped up in a scandal.
Yeah,
So that was kind of a safe bet in that particular case.
and yeah, and I even
But
think Kelly's pretty safe too, even though he does go out there a little bit more with opinions and just with how not even opinion. I guess they're opinions, but he's willing for his opinion to be thrown out into the public space and for people to and for the sharks in the social media world to circle.
yeah.
could potentially cause problems.
It's interesting to think about um, successful examples of people who have named a brand after their own name, and like, the point being, and then achieve success. I bet there's far more failures who attempted that than there are successes.
I don't know.
Obviously, Jordan is the success story
Well,
there.
Ford,
No,
Ferrari.
well, no. What I'm saying is an athlete who, uh,
Oh, you
like,
mean athletes only?
yeah, like, look, Hurley had success, but it wasn't as if the public knew who Bob Hurley was, and that's why it was
I
that
think they
brand.
did. I think they did. I think that the surf buying public who was buying Hurley, who was going to the surf shop to buy Hurley, knew exactly who Bob Hurley was. Partly because we in the surf media, if you didn't know, we told you.
Mm. I so maybe a certain portion. I All I know is when I was a kid and the Malloy brothers were riding Billabong and then they were riding Hurley, I had no idea who Bob Hurley was, but I liked the Malloy brothers and that's why I started buying Hurley product.
Well, that's interesting that you didn't know. You weren't told by us at Surfer Magazine. We didn't,
I
because I
mean, I
know
was pretty young.
we did interviews with Bob about it. It was kind of,
I
it was
just
that,
looked at the pictures.
yeah,
I didn't read the words.
yeah.
But it is
Well,
interesting. Anyways, John's obviously done a great job with what he's doing. And um,
I mean,
yeah,
most of the surfboard, I guess those guys aren't athletes though, right? Like I
yeah,
was
yeah,
thinking Stussy, Stussy actually made the jump to high
yeah,
fashion.
yeah,
Well, like the king of streetwear or whatever.
totally. Well, I'll tell you what, this is a perfect segue. I watched a little mini documentary that Stab Magazine did with Dane Reynolds, Chapter 11 update, basically.
Yeah.
Um, they interviewed Dane Reynolds about what Chapter 11 has become. It was like a little 11-minute thing. Chapter 11 obviously started as a little video, documenting surfing, little video vlog, I guess it would be called. And now it's transitioned into a brick and mortar retail store with clothing and everything else. Um, did you watch this video?
No.
I swear to you, it looked like an SNL skit.
Shit was
Dane
falling off.
Reynolds,
Yeah.
no, Dane Reynolds walking to his brick and mortar store, trying to get the key to work in the front door, and then there's paper strewn all about, bills everywhere, merchandise kind of haphazardly positioned on racks, kids coming in and being like, "Hey, did you surf today?" And Dane's like behind the counter, like slouched in his chair. And he's like, "Ah, no, yeah, I surfed Emmawood. It was shitty," like to these little kids. And there's trophies. The kids are like, "Are these all your trophies?" He's like, "Yep, yep, some of them are." Anyways, do you want a receipt? It was like Dane working retail, and it was not done in jest at all. This is like a day in the life of what happens at Chapter 11.
I gotta watch this just for the hilarity of it all.
It's insane. And Dane just looks like just past his prime. His eyes are half open, and
He's like Bear in Big Wednesday. You know what I mean?
exactly. I mean, I'm not kidding when I say I thought it was an SNL skit. Like
Yeah.
it was almost as if they were playing it up, except they
Yeah.
weren't at all.
Yeah.
Um, but what was amazing, it sounds like I'm making fun of it.
Yeah.
In
You are.
fact,
You are making fun of it.
in fact, I
Yeah.
loved it. I loved it. I thought, first of all, the idea that brick and mortar can exist in Southern California in a beach community without it being run by a corporation with corporate legal team to navigate the lease
Yeah.
warms the cockles of my heart. The
Yeah.
fact that you could like do this still. And it also made me think this is our only saving grace. Like if you are questioning, do kids care if Stephanie Gilmore rides for Quicksilver or Billabong or whatever it is, they absolutely don't, but they 100% care to do what Dane Reynolds is doing and to ride what Dane Reynolds is riding and to wear what Dane Reynolds is wearing because they can walk into the shop and interact with him and have a conversation about did he surf? And he did. And not only did he surf, the waves are crappy and he still surfed and they're crappy tomorrow and he's going to still surf tomorrow too. And you'll see him out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
There's probably, I didn't see it as I mentioned, but I imagine just based on what you told me and what I know about Dane and the way he comes off is there's just a real sincerity that's sort of wrapped in this. I don't want to say I don't care, but there's this almost like this tone of this is who I am. Take it or leave it. I'm not changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely. And they say, again, the whole thing is Stab interviewing Dane about that brand, Chapter 11, and what it's become. And so the answer to that is we just want to make surf movies. Our whole purpose is to make surf movies. And so we would like to, we film Emmawood all the time, but we'd also like to go on a trip periodically. And so if we could sell enough of these t-shirts to pay the rent and then go on a trip, that's what we're trying to do here. That's it. So we're not trying to get rich. We're not trying to turn this into a big brand or anything like that. It's just, it is what it is. And some girl comes in, she's like, I want this shirt. Oh, we don't have it in your size, but we can screen one in the back for you. It'll take about 10 minutes. Okay, cool. Yeah, go do that, So super cool.
What
Super
about Former?
cool.
Do they sell Former in there?
Yeah, they specifically say we just carry stuff for the brands that we're affiliated with.
Right.
So Channel Island surfboards on the racks. They have Former. And he goes, my wife has a brand called Trash Boy. So we've got some Trash Boy stuff right there.
Yeah.
We've got wetsuits from the company I'm affiliated with. And that's basically
I'm
it.
big on Trash Boy, actually. I'm, I'm a fan. By the way, did you see the Dumpster Diver 2 sort of the kickoff video that had Trash Boy in it?
Epic. It was epic.
That was fun, huh?
It was Channel Islands put together a 3-minute little skit video, and it was well written, really well directed. Britt Merrick has some real acting chops. I got to be honest. Sage Erickson, not so much. I like Sage, but you could tell she was acting. Britt Merrick, I was like, holy cow, this guy's dead. Like, give him an Oscar. Incredible.
Yeah. That was fun. And Dane's son was in there. They basically had sort of a 12-step program circle for the small wave people that are just only riding small waves. And it was a 12-step meeting for that. So they all sat in a circle and sort of, went around the circle and talked about it. And yeah, it was good.
It was hilarious. Great job.
I didn't get the foosball part. The foosball cut, Dane Reynolds was in the middle of a fight with somebody who was that Nathaniel Curran or somebody.
Josiah Amico.
Yeah. So him and Josiah are fighting and all of a sudden they're playing foosball.
I don't remember that. That's
like,
pretty funny though.
What's going on here? And then after the foosball, boom, cut back to the fighting.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I'll point attention to as well, while we're on the idea of Chapter 11 or the conversation, they do make surf movies. And so they released a movie a couple of weeks ago. It was supposed to be my must-see moment. I don't know, it got lost in my notes. It's called Jesus Christ, and it's about Brendan Gibbons, South African surfer Brendan Gibbons, stylish, radical, high-performance surfer, and never quite made it into the A-list. He always kind of floated around, he'd produce these incredible YouTube videos that just wouldn't get a lot of views, but he was traveling the world with Kai Neville for a little bit and partnering, buddies with Dane and kind of traveling on those projects as well, and just never quite got the limelight he deserved. Anyways, Dane does a check-in with him over the phone and they roll a lot of footage, and it's just an incredible 10-minute surf edit, Jesus Christ, on Chapter 11's YouTube channel.
Is that your must-see moment presented by Trees Wax?
It's not, dude. I'm really torn between my must-see moment. What I really had in the queue for must-see moment presented by treeswax.com is Lungi Slabs Greenmount Barrel.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I did. That was insane. I got so caught up in just Superbank Greenmount Kira YouTube videos yesterday that they've all made my must-see moment presented by Trees Wax. But tell the listeners about this incredible and what made it so incredible, this incredible wave at Greenmount by an Aboriginal Indigenous Australian surfer.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, this was my must-see moment all week long up until yesterday. It got bumped out, but it is the greatest takeoff to barrel ride I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And there's bigger, gnarlier ones, but this
I don't know. I can't even think of I guess there's a lot of like late drops into the tube, but this was like crumbled upon into the tube.
It stands in kind of a class of its own unless you think about the Pipe Masters 2 years ago, Kelly and Seth Moniz free falling into backdoor 10-foot death slabs just makes it more gnarly. But But this was still like stands in a class of its own, just in terms of how late it was and how technical it was. It breaks over him before he even stands up. So it's
Yeah.
a long running green mount barrel. The wave, he's paddling into position, but it breaks on him. You don't even see him get to his feet. He's
Hey,
completely.
the first time I saw it, I was like, where did he come from? Because I had missed the takeoff. I was just,
Yeah.
I clicked on it and I was like, and then I'm just, okay, here it is. And okay, yeah, that just looked like a normal little tube. What's the big deal? And then
Yeah.
you go to
The takeoff, it breaks on him. You don't even know. Yeah, like you said, you don't even know that he's not in position to go for the wave. It breaks on him, and the wave then starts hollow, like, double up barreling, and you see somebody navigating through it. So the wave breaks on him, and he somehow gets to his feet and positions up into the barrel, but he's super far back. So not only is it taking off with the wave breaking on you, it's super duper deep.
You're right. And it's so deep that, as you mentioned, the gnarly part for me is that he gets to his feet and he's on the foam ball before he's in the tube, before he set his rail. Like, he takes off, the thing breaks on him and he takes off just in disarray, and he's on the foam ball. And then he pumps through the foam ball to get his rail set onto the wave face.
He said he couldn't see anything at all until the barrel was like spitting, and he was kind of navigating through it at that point. So he did it all by braille. What he did say was that the most important thing in a late takeoff is setting that inside rail. So even if you can't see anything, if you can kind of get to your feet and get that rail kind of set in the water, the board might find a way, and all you got to do is kind of ride it with your eyes closed. So it's an incredibly impressive takeoff, and then he's super deep. So the depth of the barrel and the length of the ride are also very impressive. Additionally, the fact that the drone kept an eye on him was very impressive. I would have stopped recording instantly because you didn't think the guy made it. And then the fact that nobody burned him was incredible, because there was 2 or 3 surfers, one of which was Mikey right at the takeoff, that would have written him off. Like, and people who are making barrels clearly still get burned at Greenmount. You know what I mean? Yeah. So the fact that nobody went and that the drone kept going, it was like unbelievable.
Yeah,
in addition
really
to the fact that he made the wave.
It really was insane. And
so
people need to watch. That is definitely a must-see moment. That's my must-see moment. But like I said, if you go into YouTube and type in Kira or Superbank and watch stuff from the last 3 or 4 days, you're good for like an hour and a half, and it's all mesmerizing.
It was really, really impressive. Akira was kind of bigger and wider than we've seen it for a very long time. Joel Parkinson posted a clip this morning of getting washed up on the rocks that was really heavy. And, that's somebody who you think would never be in that situation. Yeah. So it was really kind of crazy situation going down there. My official, though, must-see moment presented by Trees Wax, the only petroleum-free surf wax that I'm aware of. By the way, do you follow Trees Wax on Instagram?
Sure.
Christian posted a video clip of him making Trees Wax.
Oh, I didn't see that. No.
It's just like in a blender with some really raw ingredients.
That's cool.
Really, really messy. It is a very not experimental, but it's not a corporate
grassroots
endeavor. It is grassroots, literally. Anyways, my must-see moment presented by Trees Wax dropped yesterday via Neat Essentials on their YouTube channel. It's called The Notes in Between. Rocketmoney.com/surf. Just this week, my wife figured out she was paying a subscription for Showtime, but then also paying for Paramount Plus, which includes Showtime for free. That's precisely what Rocket Money was designed for. A modern tool that meticulously tracks the details that we easily get distracted from. It's a finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your monthly spending, and helps you lower your bills. It gives you freedom by helping you see your subscriptions in a simple dashboard and alerts you about hidden fees or increases. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has helped save its members an average of $720 a year with over $500 million in canceled subscriptions. Stop wasting money on things that you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/surf. Calm the clutter in your head, simplify the tedium of your financial life, and find freedom through rocketmoney.com/surf. All right, my must-see moment presented by Treeswax is the notes in between from Neat Essentials on their YouTube channel. A day in the life of Laurie Towner and Torren Martyn as they share stories over a short fishing trip, an everyday conversation between a couple of mates where they take time to just enjoy the simple prospect of potentially catching a meal. It's a 20-minute little mini documentary of them hiking and fishing one day, interspersed with some surfing, actually quite a bit of surfing, multiple sessions, mainly of Laurie Towner. And goodness gracious, he surfs insanely well.
Yeah, it's fun. You sent it to me. I watched it and really enjoyed it. And just ripping. And then there's a session at Ship Stearns, which is the next level, and they do a flashback to one of Laurie's very first waves. I think his very first wave at Ship Stearns, which is just this crazy 12-foot late drop mutant beast thing that is just So it's just a super fun sort of. It really pulls at your heartstrings. Like, this is the way that surfers should live. It kind of gives you that vibe. Like, at least that's the feeling that I get. Like, this is why Australia is so incredible. They have
I
a
know.
super full fat middle class, and just everyone can live sort of with the, you know, not not the extremes, just, the necessities that one needs to live happily, and I don't know. It's charming.
Very, very charming and aspirational. I agree with you. It's like, that's how I want to live my life, raise my kids, be near the beach. We spend a bunch of time outside. Nobody's, working 60 hours a week or whatever it is, and then surfing good waves. And Laurie, when you watch him surf the right hand point break at the beginning, you're like, God, he surfs so good, like fundamentals so sound, such cool style. And then he rides an Alaya. He builds Alayas, and he rides an Alaya at one point. You're just like, oh my gosh, that is radical how well he surfs that thing. Then you watch the slab sessions on triple overhead waves and the steps that he's navigating, and then seeing Torren, by the way, who we never really see in that kind of surf, doing his thing in those waves too. And you're just like, these guys they are next level. Like, it's one thing to look good ripping a right hand point break, but then to see how they're actually applying their skills in waves like that, they are just peak athletes.
Yeah, you should definitely go on YouTube to the Neat Essentials site, channel, and check it out. It's a really fun watch for sure.
And the notes in between is the name of it. But I just forget about Laurie Towner. And then once a year, they drop something on us that I'm just like, man, that guy is still at the top of his game. It's incredible.
Yeah, I remember when Laurie first went to the North Shore, it was an immediate standout. You were immediately like, "Well, okay." I think he was at the time probably he was doing the Triple Crown like all young Australian surfers.
Yeah.
But he was just one of those guys that probably didn't have a spot in the lineup at Pipe, but found himself getting really good waves because, an occasional good wave, because, he's a charger, and he just kind of put his head down and got it done.
We talked about it on the show long ago, but he was in a trials event for the Pipe Masters and he dislocated his shoulder twice in one heat.
Oh, I do remember talking about that.
He
Crazy.
dislocated it on a wipeout, came in, the medical staff popped his shoulder back into place. He paddled back out and continued surfing the heat. And then it happened again on another wipeout.
Oh my God. So gnarly.
He's so gnarly. So shout out to Laurie Towner and must see moment presented by Treeswax.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right. Well, look, we've said a lot, David. Until next week, adios and aloha.